The amount of foreign direct investment that Mexico receives really differs from year to year. As you can see from the chart, in the year 2013, Mexico experienced its highest amount of FDI. In terms of 2015, Mexico had $28 billion in FDI. This was a $2.7 billion increase from the year 2014 and an 11% increase as well. 53% of the total FDI in Mexico comes from the United States. We can now also take a look at the top sectors within Mexico that receive the most FDI. First comes the automobile industry, with $6 billion in FDI, followed by the financial services industry, then the telecommunications industry, and finally the glass industry. We can also see the states within Mexico that receive the most FDI. First comes Ciudad de Mexico, second Nuevo León, third Jalisco, fourth Chihuahua, and finally Veracruz. In terms of the specific countries that are contributing to Mexico's FDI, the United States accounts for 44% of it, followed by Spain's 11% and the Netherlands of 10%. To give a broader overview of the previous slide and the specific sectors that most of these FDIs are going towards, manufacturing counts for 61.3%, followed by financial services, transportation, mining, and electricity. In terms of the remittances being sent to Mexico, despite displaying a negative change value on a year-to-year basis in 2013, for the most part, remittances in Mexico has been on the rise and spikes in 2016, most likely to the election of Donald Trump. To add, it's important to realize that remittances and immigration do not necessarily have a positive correlation, because as you can see, the amount of immigration is much more volatile than the amount of remittances being sent back to Mexico. I will now be describing the top 5 companies in Mexico and how they contribute to the Mexican economy. First, we have the company FEMSA, and they're in beverage and retail. Second, we have the company Cemex, and they specialize in cement. Thirdly, we have Grupo Electrica, and they are in financial services. Fourthly, we have Arca Continental, and they're another beverage manufacturing and distribution company. And lastly, we have Grupo Carso, which is a conglomerate company owned by the famous Carlos Slim. Although Mexico is always recognized as a country that helps with the industrial needs as other countries such as the United States and Canada, it's also important to recognize the Mexican companies that only make most of their profits through the Mexican people directly. Although these companies may have an international presence, again, it's important to realize that most of the profits for these companies come directly from the needs and services they provide to the Mexican people. I will now give you 3 examples of top foreign companies increasing their presence in Mexico within the last year. First, we have Walmart. Walmart has dedicated themselves to investing $1.3 billion in Mexico within the next 3 years. By increasing the amount of Walmart stores in Mexico, this will create 10,000 new permanent jobs within the country. Secondly, we have Citigroup. Citigroup is investing another $1 billion to create a new whole banking unit called Citibank Mex. Citibank Mex will contribute to around 50% of Citigroup's global consumer revenue. Lastly, we have Apple. In January of 2016, Apple opened its first retail store in Mexico City. This was only the 3rd Apple outlet store in Latin America. There are 2 other ones in Brazil.